So there is a new version of Wuthering Heights out now, and this is not that. This is the older version from the 1970s, British version. And actually at the time it was so famous. And it actually didn't star, I think the biggest star at the time was Timothy Dalton, and he was only a little big star.
He wasn't a very large star, no.
He wasn't a very large star, and so it actually propelled him to stardom a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is, if you don't cast him, what are you doing? This is the perfect casting. Yeah.
And we saw him in another Brontë property in Jane Eyre, the television show, which I also highly recommend.
Yes.
And he does that dark, moody, broody.
Yeah, Edward
so
Rochester.
well.
I mean, he's the perfect Edward Rochester.
And here he's doing the same thing, but now much younger, and it's that much younger.
Yeah,
and
but not the same thing. It's not the same character.
No, but he's also brooding, because they're both Yorkshire brooding.
Yes.
That is still in there.
Yeah.
And
but nobody broods as much as Heathcliff, of course.
Now broods and then started breaking things. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's a little dangerous, this guy.
Oh my god. The book, I know, the book itself is thicky, very thick. Yeah. And if you're going to make any movie, if it's not going to be a 13-part TV adaptation, you're going to make a movie, you're going to have to cut stuff. And this version cut all the extraneous stuff, which is the start of the story, the Mr. Lockwood who comes in and discovers the...
And it's not necessary to the story at all.
Yeah, and I think that because the book is so famous and everybody already knows the story, so the discovery of the mystery is not really the value of the book anymore.
Yeah, and the discovery that we are now entering a gothic world, romance world.
And the shock of discovering of who Cathy is and what happened, all of that, we already know that. You already know it from secondhand information, you already know. And so when you watch the movie...
Everybody has had it in school. Yeah. So you want to launch in to the characters and into the nitty-gritty, the circumstances that they're living in.
Yes, and they start with the elephant in the room, which is, where does this boy come from? And I like that because this father brings in this boy, and a moment he promised his other two kids a couple of prezzies. The prezzies arrive broken, and that is in the book, and all they get is a dirty boy. And not everybody's going to be very happy about that. And
what is this boy? Who is this boy? Is this now their brother? Is this? And he's in this film. He's like, no, you will learn to live together. And it's like, what does that mean? Is he their brother or not? What? Why? What? Just tell us. Yeah. You know. And in this film, it's heavily implied that he is.
Yeah, in this film they actually very heavily implied that he is an extramarital son of the father, but the book doesn't say anything of the sort, and I think it is more likely that the father, in an act of godliness, which they absolutely had in those days, saw a kid in the street who apparently didn't belong to anybody, nobody wanted him, and picked him up in the goodness of his heart and brought him home and didn't do any more thinking about it. And absolutely did no more thinking about it. Not even in the secondary. He thinks about nothing in his house. He doesn't think about the future of Heathcliff. He doesn't think about the future of Hindley, his son.
Catherine,
Catherine,
which
his
is
daughter.
really important because she's not going to inherit the farm. What's she going to do? She
Somebody's
needs to
wife?
be maritable to somebody, but they're not actually socializing with anybody. They're not socializing with the church people. They're not socializing with the wider area of farmers. And so they end up, Catherine and Heathcliff, but mostly because Cathy wants to, they end up spying on the local gentry's evening parties because of course she wants to go to the pretty dresses and the music and the dancing.
At first she does the I really have a hard time with Dad because he did everything wrong.
Yeah.
Because they're not paupers. They have money. There is no reason why Cathy is a neglected, scraggly thing on the moors. That makes her have no future.
Yeah.
She has no future at all.
She's not even a farmer's wife.
No.
Potential, she's nothing. She's zero.
And in the book it becomes a little clearer, but the only person who does any rearing at all is servant Joseph, who at least teaches at least Hindley to read, and probably Catherine, but not Heathcliff. And so he gets the bare minimum there.
Yeah. But in this film, we see Heathcliff. You see him with a book.
Yeah, okay, it's 1970s.
And they're doing this on purpose. You don't have to have him walk around with a book. They did that.
It's the 1970s.
So the whole concept of he wouldn't be able to read is completely out of the filmmaker's thoughts. But you don't know how to read in the 1870s or 80s. Sorry, 1770s. Unless somebody teaches you, unless you went to school, unless somebody sits you down every day.
And paid money to somebody to do that, yes.
So you don't just know how to read. So Heathcliff wouldn't know how to read, but in this film he does. So we're changing things.
Yeah, and the changes are subtle, but catering to the time that the thing is made in, which is almost all films do that to a certain extent. But the things that they kept, and I think that I like that very much, is that the Yorkshire Moors, they are on the Yorkshire Moors.
Yep.
No ifs, ands, or buts. We are on the Yorkshire Moors, to the point that at filming they had so much trouble with the weather, because Yorkshire Moor weather is rainy. It's not raining
and
all
winds.
the time.
It's horrible. Yeah,
it's
cold.
There was one scene where Nellie and Cathy are outside talking, and there's a beautiful sunset behind them, and I'm going, it kind of doesn't fit with anything else, but I think they had no choice. You're running out of options for shots. I do like the shots.
Yeah.
I do like that.
It is beautifully filmed. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And when she runs into the rain, and their castle on the I forget the name of the rock, but their castle that they did this very well in this film.
Creverston Rock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and so the Yorkshire Moor become like the third cast member of this film, and they do make good use of it. They spend all the money in all the right places. And the other thing I really liked about the movie is that you have the farm, Wuthering Heights, which is all rocks and green moss everywhere and dirt, and it's not.
The interior of the farm is.
It's all brown.
It's nothing
all
has
brown.
been adorned in any way, which is unusual for the 1700s because you would be adorning everything.
No, not for a farmhouse.
Maybe not, no, but generally speaking.
And then the nice house at the Grange.
Yep.
Everything is white. All the walls are modern white, which is for 1780s is probably very modern. And the difference there, everything has white lace everywhere. Everything is super clean. Everything is white, and the difference, it is so stark.
Night and day, and it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
well
perfect.
done, yeah.
Yes.
And the way people are dressed, meticulously clean, everybody's clean, everything is clean, and then you get to Wuthering Heights and everything is dirty and rough.
It's more
unkempt.
Yes, rough and unkempt, and when it's outside it's also dirty. Yes, and the story itself.
Well, the story itself. They did change stuff, especially to the ending, and I'm okay with that. Is you just have to kind of make it a whole thing. Otherwise, you would have had to recast them yet again for another, 1/3 of the scenes, and that's
There was for this movie. There was talk of a part 2. It never. There's a bunch of this company was famous for talking about parts 2, and they never happened. So this is one of them. But yeah, this film and the previous films and most of the films they make of this is only the first half of the book, because after that, after she is no longer here, everything goes down the drain. But it takes a very long time. It takes another 20 years.
Yeah. So I think that they decided, the screenwriter, the director decided to go with, let's do the Cathy and Heathcliff story.
Yeah, that's the meat and potatoes, yes.
Yeah, I think that is a good choice, because you only have, 2 hours. It's not a lot of time. And you do have to do an awful lot of mood stuff as well. So you can't be too fast either.
Yeah. The thing that I liked about this version, and I've seen it in other versions as well, there is a lot of bullying in the book. Everybody bullies everybody else. I mean, everybody is an asshole. There's just degrees of assholery. And this film and most of the other films, they pick out the one and two things to show it, but they try to downplay it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it becomes really bludgeoning on the viewer. So you need to be in the corner of the people who are getting, crud runs downhill kind of thing. But they then make crud run downhill yet again. So it never stops. It doesn't end.
Yeah, and I do think that this film definitely realized that we have to at least make Heathcliff approachable, not likable, because that's more difficult, but at least understandable, and Cathy as well. And I haven't read the book, but from what I hear about the book, about people, what they do, Cathy is all over the place. Yeah. To the point where I'm saying, my God, I think this girl may be bipolar. And Emily Brontë is trying to write a person that is obviously bipolar, but she doesn't know what bipolar is yet.
Well, she's affected by the circumstance. So she goes to the nice frilly people and she gets into that mode, and then she comes back in her nice dress, and then she's like, oh yeah, I love this, but it's all not the stuff that I've been doing.
But that's what's in the film. Yeah. In the book, she starts screaming, ranting, hitting people several times. She has like a couple of times where she goes off the deep end.
Total meltdowns.
Motor meltdowns. And every single one of those motor meltdowns, there was some sort of screaming episode involved. There is something wrong with Cathy.
Yeah, okay. Mental health. I've heard that about this book.
Yeah, and then it's very difficult to diagnose people from afar. But I think that the father not giving any direction at all, and then Cathy having an undiagnosed mental issue, something that can be helped right now, but not then. And I think Heathcliff is actually quite normal, but he gets completely squished. Hindley gets completely squished.
And also, we don't know what Heathcliff's life before was. He
was messed up. I don't think there's any mental problem with him other than his circumstances.
But his circumstances could have messed him up.
Yeah.
For when you look at Anne of Green Gables, it's specifically she's 11 when she gets taken care of nicely by nice people who don't make her a slave, and we don't know what happened to this guy. And he wasn't even 11. He was maybe 8 or so. Yeah, and from the point that we do know it, we know that he's been called names. Yeah. And inferior, and at least not by the father, but certainly by Hindley behind the father's back. And then after the father dies, absolutely. By everybody in front of his face.
Yes,
and repeatedly so. And that is something he will know that he can't get away from. So no matter where he goes or what he does, he will always look different. Yeah,
and that's one of the things that the film did clock it, but I think getting in Timothy Dalton, who is the way it look, he has that little that mousy, that ratty face, and that. Really? Yeah, he has a certain face that is not your standard book standard face. And I think that is why you choose him. Even if he was blonde, you would still choose him and say, okay, well, because the role says a little dark. That's the only description that's in the book. He is darker skin, dark hair. That's about it. So you gotta go with that. And
well, black hair, you can paint anybody's hair black, so...
But you get it for the Timothy Dalton, you get it for free because his hair is all black.
Yeah, and he does the brooding bit. He is not playing... He will only be playing along with society if he really has a reason to. Otherwise, he's not going to. And that could be the first 8 years of his life. It's like he's seen enough to know, listen, this is just play acting, so I'll only participate if I get something out of it. And for most of the time when he does stuff, there's nothing he can do to get ahead. So
the only thing he could have done was leave, but Cathy was keeping him there. And like I've said, if the father had made his position clear, one way or another, he could either have gone for Cathy, to be with her forever as a married couple, or he could have left long ago.
Well, in this film, it's very it's text that they had to go to the father and say, Hindley needs to go to university. You need to do this, and yes, it's going to cost money. And yes, so the kicking the father in his behind to actually get his first son to do that was the maximum that anybody could get out of him.
Yeah, and that's
it was the making of Hindley.
It's a bad father, and
it could have been the salvation of Hindley. He could have just literally stayed away.
He should have stayed away. He had a wife. He just when the father died, he should have just sent the lawyer go sell the farm, or give it to Cathy or whatever, and never ever come back to that death trap. Yeah.
And he could have been nice and actually gotten Cathy out and said, okay, I now have, because he's 8 years older, so there's plenty of time for him to finish university, and then say, girl, I've got this place in a good girls' school. You're going to learn something, because she wasn't going to school and nobody was teaching him anything. Or just, she may have been illiterate as well. We don't see her reading books.
We don't know. If Hindley had stayed in town, he could have asked Cathy as his young sister to come and live in the house. She would have been able to go to town and be in society, meet a nice gentleman, and all that.
But here's the problem. Catherine, the way she is not suited for society. Nobody taught her any manners.
But it's because nobody taught her any manners the first try around. So the mother failed, the father failed.
Yeah. The mother failed by dying.
Yeah, but she had some time, and she also she still didn't do what she needed to do.
None of these parents, they were not set up to raise children who were being affluent. So I still go back to, they were farmers, and they just happened to do well.
Yeah, okay.
And then the father went out doing stuff. And here's another thing I have with the entire story, is that the women can't go anywhere. Cathy can say, yes, I would like to be in the house of the Lintons. That's about as far as she can go. I can just run around the moors. But she cannot say, I would like to literally go somewhere else. And she certainly can't do it by herself. They were kind of negotiating whether or not she could do it with Heathcliff. If Heathcliff had had a proper education, then it would have been super easy.
Yeah.
They both could have gone. They're out of there. So all she can do is say, I love the moors, I love Wuthering Heights, I'm staying. That is not a choice. That is just all that's available to her.
It was all fine if the dad had set the money aside for them as a married couple, and they would have been very happily married, and it would absolutely no problem at all. Yeah. Anyway, about the movie. I thought it was a beautiful movie. They took out of the book enough elements to make it a cohesive story. They did do a couple of change arounds to make it a modern story, whereas the child that Cathy is with the baby that she's going to have, they strongly imply that it is Heathcliff's. That of course is not true. Yeah. But I think that's a modern thing. It is 1970.
I feel that they not only strongly imply it, but that is definitely what Heathcliff thought.
Yes.
and that's very romantic. But then you can't do the second part of the story.
Well, she dies anyway,
Most everybody dies.
Nobody, and none of these women have any children in this film, except in the book they did.
Yeah.
The Hindley's wife had a child, Cathy had a child, and then Heathcliff marries
Isabella Linton. Yeah.
Isabella Linton, and they have a child.
Yeah.
And they're all
So now-
roughly in the same...
Exactly. Now you have the next generation.
Yeah. And they're just not in this film at all. That's going to have to be another film.
Yeah.
I think probably a television series that is like six or more parts is going to do the story properly.
There is a television series.
BBC, I'm sure.
BBC, 1980s, I think.
Yeah,
And
okay. That's the good period.
I haven't seen it, but it will be much more comprehensive. It will be much more directly like this is what the book says, because it'll be in that style that Jane Eyre was done.
Yeah, and the book.
So you only cut stuff for time. That's the only reason you cut stuff.
Yeah, and then the book is very much a servant is telling to a third party stuff that happened 30 years ago that they had heard from somebody else. That's a lot of the book is like that.
No, it's Nellie telling the story.
Yeah, but except that when it's not Nellie and when it's hearing it from somebody else, and there's a lot of somebody else's going on.
Yeah. So and then there is Nellie, and they in this film they imply that Nellie is interested in Hindley, and then Hindley comes home with Frances, and so now Nellie, but the Nellie wouldn't have been on equal footing with any of them, and
Nellie
would never have been.
Nellie knows the real Nellie knew her place as a servant in the house. She is the barn person. She is not the house person. And so if Heathcliff had also known, that's the problem.
Yeah, that actually makes things clearer.
Yes. So
and Heathcliff had a rougher start in life because he was ripped from one life that we don't know anything about. And then he was given nothing clarity in this life, so he's just floundering.
There were a lot of people in the streets in the big cities in England who were dying. So yes, he was probably coming from something worse than what he ended up in.
Yeah, that for sure.
So I think it was an improvement.
He was never going to run away to do the old life again. That was clearly not the thing.
Yeah, and as long as Cathy held him there with the promise of no future, he couldn't leave. Mm-hmm. If he had known, because he arrived they think he's about 8 years old, roughly the same age as Cathy. If he had known by the time that the father dies and Hindley comes back, if he had known that he is a barn person and that's it, he would have just left at that point.
The father could have done that. He could have taken the kid home, said, right, okay, same story. Kid on the street was clearly going to die. I took him. This is a philanthropy deed. He is now going to work in our household. He is part of the
farm. That is a farmhand.
He's a farmhand, and that will teach him a trade. He will be set up for life. He can, when he's 18 or whatever the age is in those years, is you go out and you find yourself another farm to work on, and that's it. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's fine.
Solid life, but this was everything but solid. How to screw over your family.
And everybody paid for it, because Heathcliff and Cathy between them destroyed everything. And the Lintons as well. The Lintons! Yeah. Those poor people. They are perfectly nice. And it's not in the movie, and it's not in any of the movies because there's no time for it, but that time that Cathy runs out after Heathcliff gets terrifically sick and is brought back to Wuthering Heights, and then the Lintons come and pick her up and bring her to the Grange. Yeah. And then the parents of Linton, they die from whatever she has.
Brought in the house.
Yes.
Yeah, because after that, no more parents.
Yeah, they just disappear. There's a lot of people that just disappear because the Edgar Hindley marries Frances, the lady he brought home. And then she actually dies in childbirth. This is the reason why Hindley went to pot, because he was actually very, very in love with Frances. And when she lay dying, he was saying, "Oh, no, she can't. It's not happening. It's not happening." And then she did die, and this is when he went to pot. This is when
Yes, yeah. And this film makes it really clear because he says no more women in his house ever. He is so heartbroken he can't function anymore.
Yeah, and this is where his drinking problem starts and his gambling.
But also, these people, if they are actually landed gentry, then they don't have much to do. Well, there's a little bit of getting the money from the tenants in. But if they are farmers, then they are constantly working.
No, they're high enough. They're not.
This is the weirdness about this family. The Earnshaw family is like, what? Where are they in this?
Yeah. They're in the middle.
The class system has failed these people because there's just, maybe that's a commentary on the bourgeoisie. It's like you just got enough that you're no longer a scrapping farmer, but you're not actually the other thing, which is a landed gentry. Which is
an interesting...
And it looks like that the Lintons have no problems with that, because they're like, no, you own this estate there, okay, it's a tiny, tiny farm, whatever, and so you are marriageable material for our kids.
Back to the father, again, because I think, again, it's his fault. There is money. He's just not willing to spend it. He could have had a beautiful manor farm, all done in white, all ready to have parties. He just won't. Father, I hate you.
Yeah, and he and his wife never taught the kids anything.
Well, that's
you have to.
All the same.
If you're this rich, you have to have a tutor for the kids, or they have to go to school.
Yeah.
So they've failed these children.
Yes,
and thereby doomed the entire Wuthering Heights
and the Grange as well. The Lintons are doomed because of all of this.
Yes, this is very, very sad.
It's very sad because these are so normal people.
Yeah. And Catherine, does try to warn Isabella. I assume that's in the book because it's in both films. She says, "Don't marry him. He will eat you up. You cannot have a relationship with Heathcliff." But I find that really interesting scene.
That is because we did watch the other movie as well, and there's a big lavish parties at the Grange in that one. In this film, the society of the people of the Lintons is not that big either, and if you want society, you have to go to town. You don't have society in your small country house.
Yes.
You have it. You have parties over maybe, but like 4 or 5 people. You don't have big parties. You go to town for the big parties, and so the Lintons would be going in the season. They would go to town, and so they would be there when they were there, and not always.
So all of society really has broken down for these two households because it's just clearly they're not how it was functioning is not working for these people, and it's clear how the Earnshaws fell into this crevice between being one and other class, but the Lintons should be super lower and upper class, and they should just do the things. They should just send the kids to the season.
They did, and they did. But when Cathy brings death to the Lintons and the parents die, and Edgar,
then that's over. Yeah,
Edgar marries Catherine. So going to the season as a married couple, sure, but you don't go as often. And they only have Isabella, and Isabella is, I think, back and forth to school.
That he's not giving her the right type of options. They put it in the text. It's that you're supposed to bring me good candidates. You're bringing me bad candidates.
Yeah, and he feels that he has found the girl that he wants, so he doesn't need to be looking out for anymore. So he just casts about to his friends, and he has probably a procession of his school friends coming to the house to show her, and she doesn't like any of them.
He's only 3 years older. He's not.
Yeah, but maybe he's just not. Doesn't. His friends are just not the right.
No, but I mean, he's only 3 years older. That he's not actually like Hindley could have done a lot for Catherine because he was 8 years older. He would have finished university. He would have found a wife. But Cathy and Edgar got married really young. She was 17. He's 3 years older than she is, so he's 20. Okay, he could have finished some sort of education. Clearly he was, because he's not then still going to university, so he's done with whatever he needed to do. But 20 is, in those days, probably expecting a lot of a 20-year-old. Nowadays, you wouldn't expect much. I wouldn't expect him to take the head of the household and
Yeah,
make sure
and his
that
parents are dead at that point.
and he's going to have to do that because he lives in an era where people die young and they die all the time.
And he's also, I mean, yes, he's they're showing it better, but he's also just a farmer, a manor farmer. He's not landed, as far as I know, he's not landed gentry either.
Because there are tenants, and they are for him. One of his functions is to actually get the rent of the tenants.
Yes, but he's not gentry.
According to Wikipedia, he is, but that's
At least there is not a class difference enough between Cathy and Edgar that there's any sort of discussion. So that's fine. Yeah. Because there are lots of discussion about Heathcliff and Cathy, because class difference is way too much, but here none at all. Yeah. So they are the same class.
Yeah. Yeah, so then we can conclude that the Earnshaws were never actually running the farm. They were running the estate.
Yeah, they are.
And when Lockwood comes to Heathcliff in the framework that isn't in this film, it's about he's one of his new tenants, and he's going to bring in the rent. Okay.
It's Lockwood to rent the Grange.
Yeah. What this film did really well was the gothic element, where you have to have, as far as I'm concerned, you have to have the scenes where they say, okay, please haunt me. I cannot live without you. You must come and haunt me and drive me mad. That is, I feel, at the core of a gothic romance like this.
Yes. And
they did it, and then at the end, it's also, yes, they are now... he is there to be haunted, and he's welcoming that. In that sense, they've missed a little part about the framework with Lockwood, is that was in there, that Cathy actually came back and started be verbal as a ghost.
Yeah, but
but this was done very well. You don't need all of that complexity of
depending on whether or not you're writing, you're making a gothic scary story, or you're making a romance with a gothic element. And I think they're going for a historical romance with a gothic element in this movie.
Yeah. And I think with the big emphasis on we're doing the romance, we're doing the gothicness, we're doing all this raw emotion, because that's what you want a book like that for. You want them to scream and shout at each other and then say you're the only person ever because nobody else even exists for me. You want the bodice ripping.
Yeah, and the actual part of the book that is the thing that people talk about most is the way stuff is described cannot be translated directly to a movie. You have to imply stuff and think and leave out stuff, but imply stuff. And a book is not a film, and this film realizes that a book is not a film.
And so your interpretation has to be of a certain viewpoint, and I really like what they chose for this film, because they just went for it. You've got the right actor. I also felt that she was very good. Anna Calder Marshall was very good, and everybody else.
But also Nellie as the POV character that follows the story and harks back to the book that it is actually all secondhand information. Everything in that book is secondhand information. Yeah. And by us following Nellie, we get that sense. We are eavesdropping on these people's lives.
Yeah. And this film, if you've seen the 1939 film, this film took the scene really seriously, where she says, where Cathy says, I am Heathcliff. Because they make it, she runs outside, she does the reveal, I am Heathcliff, which is, an interpretation of love, and then runs into the storm. And you want that kind of drama. This film did the drama right.
Yes. Yep.
No, we're all clean and happy and easy. No, this is messy. This is dirty. This is not,
Yeah,
It's muddy.
Muddy, and love is destructive.
Yes.
This is a destructive love.
Yeah. And they were never going to go for a happy future. That's not the kind of love that they had. The whole concept that Cathy was starting to think with this whole, with at 16, 17 years old is that if I marry this gentleman and then do whatever,
Poor
because
guy.
we never figure out how her plan was supposed to work, and then somehow get rich enough that then I can run off with Heathcliff. It's like, this is messy. This girl doesn't know what she's doing. She is just, and she pretends she does. She thinks she does, maybe. But the whole thing is she's super young. Nobody taught her anything. And
yeah, and that's the thing, and I've seen that in other stories depicted, and here is that you have this female character who does this stupid stuff, but you never, the entire society taught her nothing.
Yeah.
They gave her no information, they gave her nothing to work with, and then they are annoyed with her that she messes up and
she does
goes to
stupid
pot.
stuff. And the only thing that she knows is that she loves Heathcliff.
And
that
which
she
is a
doesn't-
forbidden love.
And that he doesn't need to be nice to her. That's not even a thing. You know, she marries
She's not
really,
also-
really nice guy, but that's still not who she wants.
In the book, it becomes much clearer. But she's not very nice. She's very not nice girl.
Right. Well,
And
some people aren't, I guess.
And I do appreciate the film for cleaning that up a little bit, because
I think you always have to clean it up a little bit, because I think it might be really hard to root for the characters. Although now we live in a world, not in 1970, but now we live in a world where we have a lot of protagonists that people really root for that are evil people. So you
Maybe.
could put it in a different way. And
but then I already heard that this newest version is not doing what we wanted to do.
Oh, I've not heard anything. But Timothy Dalton puts down a Heathcliff that is just like, he knows what he wants. The only question is, how am I getting from A to B? And he is going to do that. And that is, I think, spot on.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be standing still for niceties. Nobody's ever had niceties to him, so how does he know? Nobody's modeled it. How should he know?
Yeah, and he also leaves like the Wuthering Heights about age 17 as well, 16, 17. Is gone for too few years. I think that the book making a mistake there. But the conclusion that we had drawn earlier is that he probably made his money not actually getting rich the regular way, but just gambling. Because you don't have to
learn how to read, and then he can just go ahead. And he was cunning. We know he is. He is plotting the whole time. He's always cursing people, and he will make good on his curse, even though that curses him back in the end. But yeah, he's a methodical guy. And that's good for gambling. He will do well.
And he did.
And then how he could have taken Wuthering Heights from... In this film, he actually takes it by gambling from Hindley. Whereas, in the book and the other film, it's all done through, like, mortgaging and stuff. But here he literally takes Wuthering Heights.
It's still also done by gambling. Because
by gambling. But actively by gambling.
Yeah, okay. But
in the other film, it was because he paid off Hindley's gambling debts. Or he bought the gambling debts. That's more how you should say it.
Exactly. So
yeah.
But now
here he was gambling against Hindley and driving Hindley nuts.
That's good for the screen. I mean,
it works. This film made clever choices. Now I feel the end is very messy. With him running, but it is a messy story. What do you want?
and if you're not going to do the second half, you're going to have to do something.
And quite frankly, they made the right choice there, not to do the second half.
Also, let me say that in the book, in his time, because like I said, there's a lot of time. When Cathy first dies, Heathcliff jumps into the grave and tries to dig her up.
Well, he does that here, kinda.
That's the first time.
He tries that, yeah.
Some 15, 20 years later, something else happens and he gets another episode and he tries to dig her up.
Yet again, yeah.
Yet again.
Yeah. That's true.
He opens the side of
It's gothic.
her coffin and leaves it open and tells them when he dies they should put a hole in the side of his coffin so they can decay together.
Yeah.
This is the book, my darlings. I'm glad they left all of that out.
Gothic. Well, he tries to dig her up.
Yeah, but that's I mean,
But he doesn't get any for her.
exactly. Whereas in the book he does get somewhere.
Again, Timothy Dalton. Yes.
Oh my God! Yes,
It's
he
perfect.
he can go ape so wonderfully well.
And often when you see a film on Wuthering Heights, people harp on about Heathcliff. But the thing is, Cathy, yes, she's in there, but she does die fairly early, and you have to do the whole film with Heathcliff, so he has to sell it.
Yes.
If he doesn't sell the story and that how bodice ripping it is, or chest beating or whatever that's called, grave digging. So yeah, he did great. The casting is excellent. What about the costumes?
So it's supposed to be set between the first, I think, 1780 is about when we first start, and so you get this 18th century costumes. That's fine, and it moves all the way to this story ends but 10 years later, so 1890s. You're still in the same costumes. The costumes are fine. They are. They're country people, they're not city people, so they're wearing them with simpler things. The hair, they go down to pots.
1970s.
1970s hair, all the hair down, and they have when I think it's Frances comes in from town with a modern hairstyle. That should be an updo. It's an 1830s ringlet hairstyle. It's pretty. That is all wrong. I think it's fine. The thing about the time period is only interesting in that in the 1870s and 80s and 1900, there was a revolution going on, and there was an actual revolution going on, but there was also a social revolution going on in how people were developing themselves. So yes, in 1730s, when the dad was young, it was very unlikely to get educated in that at all. But in the 1770s or 1780s, when these children are young, now it becomes strange that Hindley is not going to school.
Yeah.
Because that is the time. The time has actually changed. And so placing it in another time, and people have shifted around times, you run into problems. If you go too early, set it is 16 something or other, you get other problems. But you set it later, and then the whole schooling, everybody in the 19th century, if you had any sort of money, you sent all your kids to school. And having a kid who can't read is an embarrassment. So father would have been very embarrassed with
well, they are
Cathy
in
and
an
Hindley.
isolated place, and
Still.
they never go anywhere. Only the father ever travels, and
And like I said, in the
that's
18
the thing. So you get backwards.
in the 1780s, but 20 years later, no, all these kids are going to some sort of local school. There would actually be a parson coming around going, hey, why is this kid not, can't read scriptures yet? What is this? Mm-hmm. You know, like the Jane Eyre, that would have been young in the 1840s, 1830s. All these kids were going to school, all of them. So it's weird if they don't. And this is on the cusp. And I don't know if Emily Brontë, and I don't know how much on the cusp it is. I mean, I didn't live in that age, so I could be off by 10 or 20 years. But
yeah.
I think maybe that's the reason why Emily Brontë placed it that much earlier in time, which is unusual for her time. You placed it in the now because they were actually Emily Brontë, Charlotte Brontë, and Jane Austen. They were all inventing the genres, and so setting it in a different time. It's a very interesting choice, surprising choice.
Yeah. Recommendations?
Yeah, this is a good movie. It's
Yeah?
not very happy.
No, but it does what it should do.
Yes.
It fulfills that, yeah, we had a timeless love here and they will be haunting each other forever and they're still on the moors as ghosts.
As long as you know that
Yes.
this is not a happy Hallmark love story, then you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be intrigued how the new film does things. By the time you will see this, you will already know. But yeah, I think they could do it well. They have some really good examples of films that took choices and did stuff. So see where they're going with that.
Yes, but for this film, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. Definitely go watch it. It's still good.
Yep, and that's my opinion.
And my opinion.
And we're sticking to it.